beginning with Rabbi Albert Bivens last century in the 1960s, and other men that came after him, like Malak Mashah, Elder High Priest Jaquab, and his son, Elder High Priest Ariyah. And in today's time, it is Elder Apostle Tahar and the other apostles and the Connecticut bishops, the Great Millstone on down. Shalawam to you all and the 144,000, the 12,000 men that are going to come from each of the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. I'm just going to get right into it. At the mark of the beast. Because we're in that time right now where, you know, Esau Edom, the self-proclaimed white man, is going to he's trying to globally implement the RFID chip on all citizens. And I will be tested in that day, and so will everyone else. Lord willing, I will not take that micro C here. But this is Revelation chapter 13, verses 16. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his image, or of Salaki, or the number of his name. So in the beginning of Revelation chapter 13, verse 16, it says, and he causeth all. So that means that everyone around the world, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond. So anyone that's living on in this global society ran by Esau Edom, the self-proclaimed white man, they're all gonna be tried and tested to see if they're willing to take that the mark of the beast or be ostracized from society. And also too, just to let it be known, the elect who are going to be gathered from the four corners of the earth are going to come looking like not just so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. They're also going to come looking like people from the other nations. So some of the elect are going to end up looking like, you know, with blonde hair and blue eyes. Some of them are going to look like Asians. Some of them are going to look like Arabs. Some of them are going to look like so-called Hawaiians or Pacific Islanders or Africans. But this is to show, you know, the global cooperation that Esau Edom has with all the nations around the world. This is a little stint on RFK on RFK Jr. Wanting everyone to have wearable health tracking bands. So it's going to be more like a Fitbit. You know, they already got some they got some for sale right now, going for anywhere from $199 or $99 up to, I've seen them go up as far as $356. Well, here's a little from AI overview on the situation. RFK Jr., as the U.S. Secretary of Health, has a plan to promote the use of wearable health trackers for all Americans with the goal of encouraging personal responsibility for health and combating chronic disease. So that's always, Esau always comes with the Trojan, or he always comes with the Trojan horse. He's a forger of lies and a physician of no value. So he always comes propositioning or advertising what they want to do as something delectable and something good and for the betterment of people, when really it's the total opposite. It's only good for them, and it's bad for the people who they're trying to advertise it to. His department plans a major advertising campaign to get everyone wearing a device like a smartwatch or fitness tracker within the next 4 years. So right now we're at the end of 2025. So he's saying by the end of the president's term, which ends in 29, he wants everyone to start having these, making it mandatory. He believes these devices empower people to monitor metrics such as heart rate, blood pressure, and glucose levels, which can lead to better health decisions and outcomes. As opposed to somebody, you know, we're in the information age with the internet, well, all we really need to do is just really monitor and just modulate having a good diet and exercise. But see, when he says he believes these devices empower people to monitor metrics such as heart rate, blood pressure, and glucose levels, it's like, so they're making, you know, he's a puppet for the elites, but who are they to decide what is good, what's deemed good for somebody, or what's deemed bad for someone? Okay? They want total control. So it's going to be good for the people, for his people who he works for, that wants to have everyone micro C-hipped. because then they can monitor and track everyone and have, like one man, Mizark to his Hamilton says, iron grip control. And that's what Esau Edom wishes to have upon the world. It's iron grip control. Because the scriptures say, let me grab it real quick, Job 9:24. Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? So, you see on all these, while they're still available, all these FRN paper dollars, all these coins and stuff, it's their face on it. All right. When you have pilots from other countries around the world, whether they're Asian, African, or Arab, they have to, so-called Asian, African, or Arab, they have to speak English as the first language, as the primary language when they want to become an airline pilot. So this guy, he's showing that he wants iron grip control. He wants to control the world and control the masses because the world is his right now. And so he's feeling himself, and he wants to own people. And the ultimate goal is to establish the N to the W to the O, and the micro C hip is the ultimate mark or ooh of the cattle, if you will, of ownership. Because to take the C hip means that you're acknowledging and you're pledging your ultimate allegiance to Esau Edom by having him insert that digital micro C hip in your body, and basically telling the Most High that you choose Esau's rule over, you choose man over the Most High. And for the people on this side, that's not a good thing to do. Lord willing, I won't do that. I will avoid it. I just read that about RFK Jr. So now you got a guy over at Starmer, who was the prime minister over at in the UK, who says that they just prime minister over there in the UK. I did a video about either last week or week before last about how the UK prime minister wants to make it mandatory for everyone to have RFID chips, and he said he wanted everyone to have one worn by the end of their parliament. Which I did the see if I can find it. I did the I looked it up, and the end of the parliament for the UK Prime Minister is going to be in 4 years. So that's also going to end right around 2029. Let me pull it up first, though. Let me bring up the receipts. Remember, I just said that RFK Jr., like I said, Elder Apostle Tahar did a video on that about 3 or 4 months ago, talking about RFK Jr. wanting everyone to have the wearable RFID trackers within the next 4 years of the presidential term right now, which will be in 2029. Now, in terms of the UK wanting to do the same thing, here's a little bit of information. Keir Starmer is the current Prime Minister of the UK, and his government has announced a mandatory digital ID scheme, not a mandatory RFID implant. The digital ID will be required for individuals to prove their right to work in the UK, but it will not involve implantable RFID micro C-hips. But it's gradualism. So what they're doing is they're gradually gearing, just like back in the day, after they took the gold out from back in the dollar back in the 1920s, 1930s. Now, you know, they had the paper currency, and then they had the coins. Then they gradually introduced checkbooks. Then they gradually introduced credit cards and debit cards back in the 80s. And then now they started implementing where you can pay online, pay on the internet. When the internet really became publicly accessible back in about 97, 98. And then now you can pay online. Now we have these smartphones where now you can pay with stuff online while on the go. You don't have to just be subjugated to just being at home on your personal computer. Now they got QR codes on the phone where you can pay for stuff real quick, lightning fast. And then now they want to do these wearable RFID chips. In people's hand. They gradually leading up to that point. Here's some key details of the digital ID scheme. It's not an RFID implant. Despite online misinformation, the government has explicitly stated that the scheme, notice that they call it a scheme. I'm not making this up. It's not an implant and involves no RFID microchips for human identification. It's mandatory for employment. The digital ID will be mandatory for all employers to perform a right to work checks when hiring new staff by the end of this parliamentary term, no later than 2029. So you see right there that number 2029. You got the UK want to make this mandatory by 2029. And then you're wanting people, then you want RFK Jr., to make it damn near mandatory for everyone here before the end of President Trump's term. So you notice how now we become more dependent on these cell phones, and now to lose this really puts a damper on someone's momentum and momentum of life and going about their day, because we got so much information and how we move, in these phones, So then they're going to say, well, people keep losing their phones. Well, now, guess what? You're going to have to wear wearables. And then after a while, they're going to say, well, people are losing their wearables. Well, then after a while, however long they want it to be, then they're going to say, well, if you get the micro C hip implanted in you, how often does someone lose a hand? How often does someone lose their head, or wherever they're going to put it on someone's body? They can put it in any one of your persons. So these digital wearables are not the mark of the beast per se. It's when we get to the point in civilization where they try to insert it in under your skin. Remember, I did that video on Noval Harari, that Tiny Top, who was talking about he wants to do underskin surveillance. Okay, so you see the gradualism. And like I did a couple weeks ago, there were other countries involved in digital currency. Some of them were UK, some of them were Sweden. There's a lot of people in Switzerland. It's either Switzerland or Sweden, where they got like 50,000 people. Where they got 50,000 people who have those RFID chips planted in them. Okay, while no country or university mandate, several nations have implemented mandatory RFID tagging for specific high-priority sectors. The most common applications are for tracking livestock, vehicles, and identification documents. So you see, that's the main purpose, At some point, well, it's already a thing now, but it'll really be made obvious in terms of the application for tracking livestock. They look at us as livestock and as cattle and as goyim. All right? Don't believe me? Look up a video interview of Rabbi Finkelstein on TikTok, man. It's morbid, all right? But he's being honest. You know what I mean? So, but some key examples of government mandated RFID implementation include India. The government mandates RFID fast tags for all vehicles using national highways to enable automatic electronic toll collection. You have China in 28. Oh, China right now, they're doing that thing where now people have that digital social credit system where if people are being blacklisted over there, they're being made homeless. They don't have access to anything. A job, a place to dwell in, transportation, grocery stores, healthcare. They're all sleeping on the streets. So basically it's like being alive but being being like it's like being dead in a sense to the civilization that man runs. Okay, they're still physically alive, but they've been ostracized from society. In 2018, China announced a plan to require RFID chips in all new vehicles and to aid in traffic management and increase government surveillance. The United States Department of Defense, which is now the Department of War, you can Google it, passed since 2005, required the suppliers to use passive RFID tags on shipments for better supply chain management. Additionally, federal rules for the USDA require RFID tags on certain types of livestock, particularly cattle, that cross state lines. Michigan, the state has a mandate for RFID tags to identify cattle. And believe me, they're all in these phones, they're in all this stuff, so they know, so all roads lead to that gradualism where they want to try to put that underskin surveillance underneath our skin. So the whole situation with them taking away the SNAPS funding for people in the month of November and possibly even longer, like they're collapsing the system on purpose so that they can help move the digital currency to CBDCs, current banking digital currency. Here's another one. Walmart, a leader in this area, Walmart has expanded its RFID tagging mandates to include suppliers of apparel, home goods, toys, and electronics, with more categories being added over time. Other retailers, companies like Target, Nordstrom, Macy's, Dick's Sporting Goods, and BJ's Wholesale Club have also instituted their own RFID programs for suppliers. Notice I just said for Walmart, they say they want to include supplies for apparel, home goods, toys, and electronics, with more categories being added over time. Let's do this whole thing with the China credit score. And the reason why all these countries, even though they have, the reason why these other countries have all this stuff at heart is because they all know that one thing that they have in common, that there's 18 total nations, and they're broken into 3 categories. The sons of power, which are the people on this side. Israel in the Hebrew is Yashra Allah. Yah meaning he, Shah meaning prince, and Allah meaning power. So these people on the side are the princes of power. And then you got the 17 heathen nations that make up the sons of man, and then you have the so-called self-proclaimed white man, Esau, Edom. Those are the sons of the wicked. So all those 17 nations outside of this nation right here know that they're not the Israelites, and they want to do away with this nation because they know that when we come back, when we reconnect with our power, Yahweh, Hashem Yahweh Shai, we're going to rule this world in the kingdom to come, which is the kingdom of heaven, which will be lived here on earth via the Most High's only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, and the elect of the nation of Israel will make up the house of David. And we rule here on earth, and then they get taken down. This is why they have, and this is why they're gonna. This is why China, India, the UAE, and parts of Africa that all are in on this with Esau Edom because of this right here. Psalms 83:1. Keep not thy silence, O Yahweh. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O Yahweh. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. The hidden ones that is talking about the people on this side, because this is biblically who we are, each of the 12 sons are of the nation of Israel, but this is what we're called today. So we're hidden to the fact of the true nature of reality and what's going on, while the other 17 heathen nations are well aware of what's going on, and they don't want us to know, and they desire to keep it that way. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. And like I said, that's why this is who we are, biblically speaking. But instead of being called these and identified as such, we're being identified as African Americans, West Indians, American Indians, Seminole Indians, Colombians, Chile, Brazil, or Mexico, Argentina, as opposed to who we are. And that's why they call themselves other things too, like calling themselves so-called white. That didn't come until 1681. You can look it up for yourself. The term white didn't come into play until about 1680, 1681. Just like Chinese and Japanese and Arab and East Indians and Africans and Pacific Islanders, Hawaiians, all that stuff is a part of this tumult and them taking crafty counsel against the hidden ones to try to cover up the nature of reality, because the nature of reality benefits everyone, the elect on this sign, but it doesn't benefit the heathen nations, which is the 17 other heathen nations. They have said, come and let us cut them off from Psalms 83 and 4. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. So I'm going to read it. Psalms 83 and 5. For they have consulted together with one consent. That's why I read to you earlier about all these different nations. Even though they have different customs that they practice and code of ethics that they live by, but yet all collectively, they're all with implementing this digital R to the I to the F to the D system. And eventually it's the graduate, and all these roads are leading to the N to the W to the O, where they're trying to implement everyone on this sign in particular with an R to the F to the I to the DZ, Mizicro, C, Hizip, if you know what I mean. So that right there is proof that they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. And you notice in the UN and NATO and all those G20 summits, everybody in the planet Earth is represented except for the people on this sign. There's no so-called Native American representative for them. There's no so-called there's no so-called Latino representative for the Latino people. There's no so-called Negroes representative at those G20 summits. Everyone else is involved in that and is in the know, except for the people on this sign. And that's them openly taking crafty counsel. I.e., or example, you can watch the C-SPAN. They run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you see them always taking crafty counsel. And none of the people on this sign have a representative representing them. But the so-called white man, the so-called Asians, the so-called Hawaiians, so-called Arabs, so-called Africans, they all have representatives, but no one on this sign has a representative from them. So that's them openly and showing you that they're taking crafty counsel against thy hidden ones. And here's some of the people that's doing it. The Tabernacles of Edom, which is a self-proclaimed white man, and the Ishmaelites, which are the so-called Arabs, of Moab, which are the so-called Chinese, and the Hagarenes, Gabal and Ammon. Ammon is the so-called Japanese, and Amalek, which is a tribe of the Edomites, and Amalek is the Tiny Tops. The Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre, that's the Hamites, that's those Sudanese, that's those so-called Africans, them Sudanese, some of them Kenyans. Those are the ones. Those are the original. Those were the Egyptians during the time of Moses when we were in bondage under the Egyptians. It's those so-called Africans, some Sudanese, like that basketball player Manute Bol, who's tall as shit. I mean, you can Google him. So they're dark like us and they got curly hair like us, but we're not of the same people. That's why I say the elect who are going to be saved is spiritual. It's not physical, skin tone. Because you got some Israelites that have blonde hair and blue eyes and conduct themselves and carry themselves like a so-called white man, but they're Israelites. That dude Taylor from Aerosmith, the music group Taylor, he's a prime example. This is Emilio Estevez. Well, his last name is obvious, but yeah. And this is what will happen to people who take that, well, the people on this side. I mean, all the heathen nations are going to take the chip because the Most High isn't dealing with them any goddamn ways. So the people here in Babylon to take that chip are going to catch them. Listen, thus saith the Lord. And if the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast in his image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of Yahweh, which is poured without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the Lamb is being Yahweh Shah, the Most High's only begotten Son, who is going to be returning here on earth to gather his elect in what mankind calls UFOs, unidentified flying objects. They're actually IFOs because the chariots, those so-called UFOs, are the angels and the chariots of Yahweh, our power. So even though, like I said earlier, even though they're gonna have these digital IDs and these wearables here and abroad, those themselves, the wearables and the digital wallets like on our phones, that's not the mark of the beast itself. It's when we get to the point where they say that, people keep losing their wearables, their RFID wearables. So the best resolution for the best answer for this problem is to inject the micro CHIP in people. And that's the mark of the beast. And that's what you do not want to take. Like I said, the other 17 heathen nations, they're going to take it because they're heathens anyways, and the Lord ain't dealing with them. He's not coming. Salvation is only for the Jews, which are the people on this side, the elect. And not just the whole nation's going to get saved. Only two-thirds are going to get done away with, and one-third is going to be saved. This is Zechariah 13. Zechariah 13 and 8. And it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith the Lord, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third part shall be left therein. And that's talking about during the time where here in Babylon, the micro CHIP is going to become a mandatory ultimatum, where you either have to take that or you be ostracized and or put to death. You might get your head chopped off. I pray to the Lord, He have mercy on me to refuse the micro CHIP, so I might have to get put to death. This is very serious. This is not a joke by any means. This is not something that I just do just for the fun of it. Like, this is serious, okay? So we need the Heavenly Father more now so than ever, okay? And reading on Zechariah 13 and 9, and I will bring the third part through the fire, and I will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, the Lord Yahweh is my power. So in that day, people are going to be heavily relying on the Lord Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shah when these heathen try to make the digital micro CHIP mandatory for all people to wear. To try to finally establish the N to the W to the O, because Esau Edom wants his birthright. He can't get it. He's gonna try to manufacture it, and through that RFID micro CZIP, that's how he's gonna try to do it and try to enslave and perpetually own the people here on this side. But the Heavenly Father's gonna pull them through the fire. So with that, I want to give all praise, honor, and glories to Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shah Bahashem Rakah Kudash. Here's some channels from my elders. If you want to learn more, you can just visit these pages and anything any question that you have concerning the Old Testament, the Apocrypha, the New Testament, these men do videos based upon that. They take past and present events and filter through the scriptures, through the Spirit, and then help paint the picture of things to come. That's how they've been able to prophesy. Pro means to see. Pro means before. Facade means to say. So they're saying before because the Spirit is revealing things to them, okay? Here's one, GMS Apostles Street Ministry. That's Elder Apostle Tahar, Elder Apostle Gabar, and Elder Bishop Sakaran. What is the 666 Mark II GMS Truth? That's Elder Apostle Tahar. Jacob Barak II, that's the Elder Connecticut Bishop. Daily Edification 4, that's Elder Apostle Gabar. Disappoint the Wicked, that's the Elder Connecticut Bishop. Apostles Live GMS 34th, that's Elder Apostle Gabar and Elder Bishop Sakaran. GMS Info Doc Channel 12, that's Elder Apostle Orion Lob. And GMS Keep Pushing On, that's Elder Apostle Ricard. Remnant Saved 144, that's Elder Yashawamba. And Fire Cures Leprosy, that's the Elder Connecticut Bishop. So I hope you guys have been enlightened and edified, like I always am, thankfully. Till the next time, Shalawam.